Welcome to my tool shed, where the flow don't stop. Flows the host and we rise to the top. Chiseling fate, shaping the glow. It's office hour, it's time
Okay,
to
Notis,
show.
start the stream. Welcome everyone and welcome to Office Hours. This is Flo, your host, and you're in my tool shed. I am joined by John and I just forgot your name. Amy, is that it?
Arnie.
Arnie. You guys are very lucky. You saw the intro twice today because we just had a little chat where we introduced each others and discussed about what brought you guys here. So if I just sum up this for everyone, Amy just Harmy or Amy? Sorry.
Arnie.
Arnie, let me say that right. One Arnie. So Arnie just joined, and if I sum up just a bit, Arnie, you tried Notion for a bit, but it never really sticked on you. But what really worked for you recently was trying two apps that you'll have to put me in the chat for everyone. That are WhatsApp agents, and basically they're like a second brain, but just kind of memory and not integrated with Notion, or doesn't offer really the advanced features and tools that come with Notice. And then you stumble on Notice, and that got you back to be curious with Notion to see if it could find a place in your workflow. And Arnie, first question was, okay, how can I integrate this with my calendar? You know, what's the best workflow to work with my calendars? What are the limitations? How I can do this? So we kind of decide that since this is, one of the most requested features that people talk about, and there are plenty of limitation linked to this, we're going to talk about how I manage my own task in my calendars with Notice, what we can do, what we cannot do, give some tips in there. And then I talked to John as well, that just joined this morning. So he had just good feedbacks for now with Notice from the things that he tried. But basically, John is a similar story. He's played a bit with Notion, but it didn't stick. Yeah, when using it on mobile device, where the experience is not the best because you're constrained to having a very small screen to do a lot of different things. And so here again, the question is to see if Notice can help with that part, like with the complicated UI from Notion, and still retain how powerful Notion can be, but without having to manage that complicated UI on the mobile phone. And the quick answer is yes. That's why I built it.
He's in the mountains.
Yeah. His shed isn't there. In the bed. There we go.
Let's try, guys. I lost you. This is Starling. This is because of Elon Musk. He's screwing with my feed. Don't worry. That happens. So I like to say that there's 3 levels of maturity when it comes to using Notice. The first level is the reason why I created Notice, and it was really about offloading my brain, everything that I had in my brain, into the correct place in my Notion workspace. I had already chosen Notion as my kind of default place for organizing my life. And really the trouble that I had was that I was, creating tasks on my phone with the reminders app on my iPhone. I was creating notes. I really chose the path of least resistance on my phone, and that path of least resistance had nothing to do with using Notion. But then I was left with, working on Notion on my computer, which I really liked the experience, and not having everything that I created on my phone. So I ended up in a weird place where instead of dumping my brain onto my phone when I was away, I tried to hold everything in my brain until I was in front of my computer. And I realized that this generates like awful amount of stress for nothing. Your brain is really not made
the money.
What? It's okay. We'll make it through it. I was just saying, like, your brain is not made to old ideas. It's really made to having them and not storing them. And so I wanted just an easy way to just dump everything, and that's why I created Notice. And obviously, I didn't want everything to end in a single place, like a kind of inbox. I felt that it was stupid. We could do better. So I created this first level of Notice, which was basically you record a voice message and you find it in the right place, no matter what is the setup of your Notion workspace. So that's level one for Notice. Level two is once you have this, you start to understand that there would be value for your AI LLMs to consume that content. Actually, there would be tremendous value for this because basically the difference between Arnie's ChatGPT and mine is the context that I can give to it. And because I'm already having this tool that can, I can dump my mind, and it's also a tool that I'm using to create documents when I'm on my computer, then it becomes a place where you could find the best curated context about what my work is, how I organize my life, and so on. And so then that second level of maturity came to be as, okay, how can we make Notice the best AI assistant to use this context to create new documents, new workflows, and so on. And so Notice, as a result, became very good at querying the database, searching for the database when you're creating new content. That's really when I focused on this area. And then once I got to that part, I thought, wouldn't it be cool that I don't have to explain Notice every single time? All of this process it would be really cool if I could automate part of those workflows. So, for example, if I'm creating a blog post and every time I write a blog post, I'm also writing the social media post that comes along with them, then maybe I want Notice to be able to automatically basically do the same thing that I could tell Notice to do, but do it automatically anytime I create a blog post. Or if my workflow for a blog post is always the same, I always do a deep search, I always generate an image, I always put it in a database. Couldn't there be a way I can explain Notice that workflow? So every time I ask it to create a new blog post, it would do it this way. And that's level three, really building automations for your workflows. And the way it works with Notice is really unique. It has a very own paradigm that you're not going to find in any other AI LLMs or AI tools, including Notion AI and so on. Basically, the way it works, and that's a very important thing to understand if you want to really leverage the power of Notice. The way it works is you first think about what you're trying to do. For example, I want to write a blog post every week, okay? And so the first thing is like, okay, if I'm going to use Notion to do this, how I'm going to store it? Okay, I'm going to create a database for my blog post. So you create your database, and since this week, you can actually do this with Notice. So even if you've never used Notion, you can actually ask Notice, hey, I want to create a new database to store my blog post. And it needs to have like a title, a status, and a published date. Okay, and of course there's going to be the content and maybe an excerpt. But of course you can do that directly into Notion. It's a good thing to learn, I'd say, because it's really the core of Notion. And then once you have your database, you go, okay, how do I create a blog post? Well, personally, the new way I've been creating blog posts is I do a deep search. I used to use ChatGPT for this. I would go on ChatGPT and I'd say, hey, can you compare Notice AI with my 3 top competitors? Those are the competitors. Please perform a deep search and present the result in a table. Then I would do this, and then I would ask ChatGPT to write their article based on this. Then I would copy this into Notion or my blog or something like this, and so on. And then I would go into ChatGPT and I would ask to create like a cartoon about it and paste it in my blog as well. So now what I do is I just again use Notice. Say, hey, can you put in the description of the database that every time I ask you to create a new blog entry, you're gonna first Do I still have you guys? To create, to do a deep search, then write the blog post. Make sure to include the excerpt, and also generate the image. And then, because Notice is like a multi-agent system that can handle many tasks for one message, basically now this instructions is saved in your database, in the description of your database. And every time you're going to go on WhatsApp and you ask Notice, hey, can you create a blog post for me about blah, blah, blah? It's going to see that there is a database called blogs. And to write in this database, it needs to do a certain number of steps. It needs to do a deep search. It needs to write the blog post, generate an image, and so on. And so it's going to follow that process. It's going to save your blog post uh, in your database entry, and then it's going to send you that. And that's the first step you do to automate things in Notice. But you have to understand that paradigm that it starts with database and business logic on top, basically, uh, in the database kind of layers. So that's how we can manage a very, very big complexity that we couldn't manage even with big N8N workflows. Because every time you send a message to Notice, the first step that it does is basically, where should I write this thing? And then once he has answers this answer, then he finds the database, and the database contains basically the instructions on how to do this particular workflow. And when your instruction includes multiple database, then the cool thing is it's going to start combining those instructions together in a very smart way. So that it makes it tremendously powerful. And once you've understood this paradigm, you can use the other features of automation for Notice. So you can do two things right now. One we just released this week. The first one is you can schedule those automations to run at regular interval. So for example, I want Notice to send me a weekly summary of all the tasks that I completed last week. I can just create an automation, say every Friday, 5 p.m., run this prompt, and I give it this prompt. And this prompt is just compile a summary of all the tasks that were marked down during the week as a voice message. And basically every Friday at 5 p.m., it's like I'm sending these instructions on WhatsApp or Telegram to Notice. And so I receive back a voice message with this. And the second option, the second trigger, is you can use webhooks. So you can, if you're familiar with webhooks, you can, for example, set up automations in Notion. One that I love is that whenever I mark a blog post as completed in Notion, it will trigger that webhook. And that webhook receive basically the blog post from Notion, and then runs my prompt. And my prompt for this one is, can you create the social media post for that particular blog post? And it will schedule it and post it for me. So this is, you need to understand those 3 levels of maturity as like the base concept. You don't need to go right to level 3. I think it's good to start with like finding value as just dumping your brain into some place where you know that you're going to find it back eventually when you're back in front of your computer. Then go to the second step where you start using Notice to basically valorize your content, your context. You start creating that digital assets that is taking values the more you put highly curated content into it. And then finally, those use cases are going to start appearing for you and for your business, and they're highly dependent on your business and what occupy your day. That you'll be like, oh, I need to create a database for this and put my instructions for Notice, and then set up this kind of automation that's going to make my life easier. But what I want to say here is that there is a huge depth in the product. You start with something simple and it's made for this, but you can really grow into how complex you want this to be. And so, as an example of those 3 different steps, what I propose is that we review, task and calendar, because that was your question, Arnie, and kind of give it like a real world application based on those 3 levels of maturity that I talked about. Does that sound good for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna build that demo as we go through. I haven't scripted any of this, so let's see how it goes. And basically, it's gonna be open book. This is my Notice portal. You can see this is all the database that I've synced with Notice. You can ask the link to your portal to Notis at any time. If you use Telegram, I'm going to open Telegram on the side so we can see Telegram as well. So you can just on Telegram, you can just use the portal command and we'll give you the link to that portal. And on WhatsApp, you can just ask the link to your portal. And so most of the things you can do, especially in terms of automation, you can do in the portal directly now, but you can also do in Notis. You can always ask Notis about those stuff. So we're going to try to do it a bit of both. All right. So here's the starting use case. Basically, this I have this database. Mine is slightly different than the starting templates that you have because I have so many databases that I've split them differently than yours. A subpage called Project Manager, where I have my areas, my projects, my tasks, and then my task, I ventilated them by my inbox at least, between no areas, Notice, personal, house, and stuff. All right. And here, this view, I configure it. You can easily configure views in Notion. You just click on the filter and you change the filters here. It's quite simple, but it's very powerful to match how you want it to work. I like to see here, for me, the tasks that are scheduled for today or that are late. So that's what view I've put here. And this is basically my inbox. It's everything that I haven't scheduled. So I'm not when I'm very, very busy, I tend to micromanage myself and time box everything. When I have a better hold of things, what I tend to do is just keep a lot of tasks in my inbox and kind of cherry pick during the day, the one I want to do. I like to, with workflows and productivity workflows, I like to stay flexible. I am not like strict with this. I like to activity tool should keep you motivated and should not be like a constraint in your life, or should not take you so much time that it becomes like a full-time job to manage your Notion, basically. So this is my own thing. Schedule in the future. Right now I have nothing, so we're gonna play a bit with this. Okay. The cool thing is any database in Notion that has a calendar view. So this is a task database, and this is a view from the task database, and this is a calendar view. You can install if you want, or you can link into Notion Calendar. So I highly recommend that you use Notion Calendar as your main calendar app on your phone and your desktop. It works very well. And it basically has this unique feature where you can see alongside your database that have calendar views and your real calendars. So instead of syncing the two, like many people want to do, they want to put their task in their calendar. Well, you're just using an app that can display both your task and your meetings. And you just use Google Calendar for sending invites to people for meetings that you attend. And everything else, you use a database, a Notion database to do this that has a calendar view. And by default, the Notice Second Brain is already configured this way. So once you've installed Notion Calendar, you can just go here. You can see you have your Notion workspace, and you can add your database that has a calendar view. So here, mine is already there, but if I look for tasks, it shows here. That's my task project management. And then I can show it here. And then you can see all your tasks and the different views that are available for your tasks. So here, for example, I can create a new view, for example, to see all my tasks that don't have a date, for example, or just see my inbox, for example, the inbox that I showed you before. If I just click add view and do inbox, then those are all my tasks that don't have any date. Okay. And those are all my tasks that have a date. So it reproduces the same settings that I have in Notion. But the cool thing about this is that if I take like something here, like my weekly post, and I just drag it in the calendar here, you will see that it just appears. It's going to take a moment, but it's just going to appear here. It's going to sync with my Notion my Notion calendar, I'm gonna see it here at some time. Like it just takes a while to synchronize. Um, and if I, instead of like putting it all day, I set it at a specific time. So for example, I set it between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Let me do this correctly. Bear with me. I know it's boring, guys, but you'll see. It's just for you to understand how it's working behind, but then we're going to do this with Notis, of course. So if I put it between 2 and 3 p.m., it's going to synchronize and it's going to appear here. Okay. I don't know why it's not synchronizing right now, but oh, there you go. And same thing, if I modify this, if I put this, here, for example, and then I change the time to finish at 1 p.m. Again, it's bi-directional sync, your workspace. And then basically the cool thing about this is that you can, drag and drop your tasks on your calendar, and still have like a view on your, personal, professional calendars and so on. And it makes it very easy to time box things. So this is how I like to view my time box. I have this on my phone, and I have this on my calendar. Now the cool thing is, because it's only based on Notion features, Notice can do this and help you doing this for you. So for example, if I were to ask, and I'll show you cool use case with this. If I were to ask, what are my tasks currently late? Notice can just query my Notion database for the tasks that have a date and that are not marked as completed. And again, like if you have something that doesn't work quite right for the way you ask things, I try to configure things the best way possible, but we all have different workflows. We like to configure a database differently. So anytime there is something that doesn't, work quite right for you, just open your database, go into the database that you're using. For example, here we're using my task database, and you just complete your instructions. For example, if right now I don't like how Notice search for my list, like late task, I could just say my late tasks are tasks with a date set in the past and that have not been marked as completed. All right. So you just do this, and now next time, Notice update your database every 15 minutes. It's gonna update these instructions, and this instruction is gonna be part of every time you use that database. Same thing, you can just go into your portal, you sync your database, and here, once you have your database sync, is doing it right now, you can just open this and you can see the instructions that you have for your database. There's a little formatting mistake here. But so that's the general way this works. Let's see what Notice does right now. So Notice tells me that, I have to watch this video of Gabor Maté on dealing with traumas. I have to post a new video on social media, and I have to work on the customer guide. Okay. And so I can just ask Notice, can you time box this for today or for tomorrow, for example, for tomorrow morning? And now Notice can edit those tasks. So you can do this. I'm going to see those times appearing here in my calendar. Okay. So the only thing missing here is really for Notice to be able to access to your calendar to check that there is no conflict between managing your task and managing your calendar. And that brings me nicely to the limitation. Right now, there's no way you can connect directly Notion calendar. If you go into the Notice website, at the at the very bottom, you have like a feature request, and you can see like this is the number one requested feature. So it's one of the next features that I'm going to work on. I just delivered this week, actually last week, the second most requested features. That was the ability to call Notice, to have live conversation with Notice. But this is the idea behind this feature. Like you can connect your Google Calendar, so Notice can list what are your meetings, create new meetings, and help you manage things the way you want. But I still recommend that at the end of the day, instead of creating meetings for your task, you just create your task into Notion database and have them synchronized. But later on, when we have this Google Calendar integration, then you just set up Notice to check that there is no conflict before scheduling a task at that particular time in your agenda. And yeah, so that's how I manage my task. This would be level one. So you have a task, you dump it, say, hey, ask, create a task. Then there's not really a level two for task management, because you don't really need to use your contexts. Yeah, level two would be the ability for Notice to query your calendar so it doesn't conflict with your existing meetings, basically. And level three is the automation, and it's two things: the ability to put your custom instructions on how you want to manage your task in your database, like I showed you, but also the ability to do something like this. So I can open my customer portal, and I can show you here, for example, I have this automation that says that every morning I want Notice to send me a suggestion of how to organize my day. So it says, morning sunshine, I went through the task, and here's the 5 tasks I suggest you complete today. Should I schedule them in your agenda for the day? Great, I've updated your task and scheduled the reminders to check back on your progress throughout the day. Talk soon. I want to receive this on WhatsApp. I want this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. I save this, and now this prompt is going to run every morning during the work week at 9 a.m. Like if I send this message to Notice. Okay, so I get to receive this summary with all my tasks suggested for the day, and I can just interact with Notice on what I want to do with that task. If I ignore Notice, it's not going to do anything. If I say Notice, hey, sure, like plan this for my day, then it's going to complete this. And so you can create cool automations like, hey, I want a summary of the tasks that I've completed during the week, or things like this. That's quite easy to do with that interface.
Cool. One quick question regarding the calendar aspects. Just one more from my end, because you were talking about time blocking, time boxing. Is it possible to time block let's say I want to spend 2 hours in the morning for health and wellness, and then I have 2 hours of urgent, then I have 3 hours of deep focus. So to label it in that way, and that's how I organize my days. Can I drag tasks into those different things so that I have, for example, it's 9 in the morning, I now have 2 hours to focus on the high urgent things,
Yeah.
so that I can slide things in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super interested in that use case. And so like you can definitely do this right now, like with that setup, like without Notice. You just need Notion and your Notion calendar. And right now you can just, like, what I used to have, I've stopped doing this, but I used to have like a separate calendar that was called time blocking, where I just created those slots that you described. We can do this together right now. So it basically, you cannot create calendars, strangely enough, directly inside Notion. So you just create here This is my personal. Then create like a calendar. Where can I create a calendar?
Yeah, I have that on mine, so I can show you on mine as well if you want that.
Yeah. So
Normally it's there, but my calendar, or here other calendars, you click the plus there.
okay.
And
Okay.
then,
Create new calendars. There you go. So I could create one that called Timeboxing. Um, yep. And then I go here. I have my Timeboxing here. And what I do is, for example, every morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., that's the time to eat the gym. So I just put this in my Timeboxing, and this is going on. Where is the recurring things?
the repeat.
Repeat, yeah. Every weekday, for example. So there you go. And I don't want this all day. I want like this every day at 10 to 11. So you do like this. Oh, God damn it. 11. Let's put 10:30. All events. There you go. So now I have this thing, and obviously I can take any task and I can drop it in those areas. So if you had like this is my moment of the day that I am working on social media every week again. Then I just do this on repeat again every week on Tuesday. I put this in my Timeboxing, and then I just drag and drop things here. The missing piece right now to do this automatically with Notice, again, is the ability of Notice to just query your calendar, because otherwise you could just instruct it here in if I go back to the portal, in this prompt, when I ask it like, hey, can you time box this for me? There is a missing here. There is a missing prompt that I lost somehow today. I don't know why. So normally there is here, there is help me, something like help me organize my day. And one, it's find all the tasks that are late or have no dates. And late for me means date in the past plus not completed. And secondly, okay, propose me a plan for today to tackle 5 of them. Priority should be given to the one that are late. Once the plan is accepted, time box those. Adjust the date accordingly. Adjust the date accordingly. Plus, create the reminders to check back on my progress at the planned time for each task. And so basically, to really complete your use case, totally the one that you mentioned, you just need to do something like query my, check my Google Calendar time boxing my Google Timeboxing calendar and distribute my task, something like distribute my task accordingly.
Mhm.
Making sure to respect the Timeboxing categories. So doing this, you really be able to satisfy that use case that you mentioned, and that's why it's I spent a lot of time, a few months, thinking how I wanted to integrate those calendar features, and really what place it would have to really have value, because there are a few WhatsApp agents that I'm not going to name that can query your database, your Notion, like your Google Calendar, but I haven't found very useful use case. Like, you're like, can you create a calendar event for me? It's faster to do it yourself in Notion Calendar. So again, like, what were going to be the real use case where you want those agents to have access to your calendar? And I think with those automation, then it starts to make sense, because you can explain what is your way of organizing your calendar, and have an agent do it in a way that is more systematic than the way you do it. So instead of taking 15 minutes every day to plan your day, you just have Notice do it for you before you wake up and propose you a plan, and you just validate the plan, and that plan is in your calendar once you finish the conversation. So this is going to get very soon. For now, you just don't get like that third step. So one way you could do this is just completing that prompt by saying, by the way, here's the rules you should follow for planning my day. Uh, Workout, like, don't plan anything from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. because that's my workout time. If you have to plan social media, it's only on Wednesday afternoon. You can put like everything that you want, and then Notice every day is gonna execute basically that prompt, and do the same for you. So like, I think for now you can play quite a bit with this to
Yeah.
get what you want. In the future, my goal is to create what I call blueprints, that where you're gonna do the onboarding, basically, the onboarding experience you do with Notice, where you connected Notion and so on. Basically, to do onboarding experience on those workflows. Like, I want to automate my blogs, and it's gonna install the right Notion database, create the right automations, create the right webhooks, like configure everything for you, so you don't have to spend time writing prompts and so on. But for early adopters, and you guys, I'm sorry to say you're early adopters, uh, I think it's quite cool that you get to configure how you want things to work, but you need to spend a bit of more time of setup. It's natural language setup. You don't have to deal with N8N or stuff like this, but it's still going to take some tinkering to
Right.
get the results that you want.
Yep. Cool.
So you guys saw an example, like level 1, level 2, level 3 for task management and managing your calendar. So that was basically the idea. You have any question?
I just had one, but I think looking at the portal when you popped it up might have answered it. I've set mine up with Telegram, but on my smartwatch, WhatsApp has a feature, a tile, where you can directly send a voice message to a specific chat.
Yeah.
And would you be able to set that integration up with both Telegram and WhatsApp?
Yeah, definitely. So like, when you set up those integration, you just need to, basically, when you choose the channel, is the channel that you're going to receive the answer. So you cannot check two channels, because you're not going to receive two messages every time Notice can write to you.
I actually meant more for input.
Yeah. So for inputs, as long as your different channels, they use the same phone number, they basically use the same account, and they maintain different threads. So you can talk to Notice on one thing on WhatsApp. I do this all the time, and then I talk about something else on Telegram. I have Ray-Ban Meta glasses, so I use WhatsApp for sending voice message to Notice on my Ray-Ban Meta glasses. but I prefer Telegram for Notice because it has no limit on the voice message, and I have the commands. They were better. I also have a feedback when Notice is working on something. I know which message is working. We don't have all those features. And when I need to call Notice, I'm calling Notice on WhatsApp because Telegram doesn't have a voice API yet. So I'm calling. This is a feature we just released last week. So I just call Notice on WhatsApp. So I tend to use the two. I must say I'm maybe not the best example because I use Notice a lot for obvious reason. But you can use the two. Emails as well. Emails are pretty cool because contrarily to WhatsApp and Telegrams, where we have to clean the context window, with emails, we can maintain the context window of these email threads. So what I do often is I start having a conversation on Telegram with Notice, and then when I'm ready to move forward, I just ask it to send me an email. So if I need to continue that conversation, I can continue that conversation by email, and it just kind of split the conversation into a different tree where I can keep having asynchronous conversation with Notice and talk about something else on WhatsApp. So I made it so you can switch modalities very easily and kind of choose how you want to manage your context like this.
Yeah, Notice has actually just made a lot of my Zapier zaps redundant.
Well, that's the goal.
No, ones that it took me hours to set up are pointless now, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and like I actually, so I just launched the webbook. Like I haven't launched publicly the webbook. It's just I released a bunch of things kind of secretly during the week, and this one was released along with the voice calls last week. So I haven't posted anything on social media. It's really new, but I'm really excited about that webbook features because um, you can create something like as simple as like this workflow and just activate the webhook and save it, and it will give you like the webhook link here if it just refresh, or that's a little bug maybe. Do I have a problem with my connection? So let's, maybe it doesn't work on editing yet, but like if I'd say one that I really wanted to, I have even didn't have time to test it yet, but basically creates the social media post for this blog post schedule for today on all the Mind the Flow platforms. And then I do this, for example, on Telegram, and instead of doing the schedule, I create the webhook, and then I hit save and just create like the webhook link that I just copied here. And now I go into Notion, and I have this database called Content Manager. I mean, this page that contains a database called Blog. And I just create an automation here. Let me delete this one. I just create an automation, and I just say, hey, here, whenever like a property is edited, like a specific property, sorry. So there's going to be status is set to published. Then call this webhook, and I just copy the webhook link that I got here, and I enable that. And really just doing this, I just automated this process. So now if, let's see if it works right now. Like, let's see, this is going to be a live demo of something I have not tested enough to test to demo as a live demo. But basically, let's create a new blog post. Let's mark a new blog post as published. Let's create something just like as a test. This is a test. The new webhook feature is out. Notice is officially the best platform to automate anything in Notion.
I think what it does is it's it looks quite a bit like ChatGPT tasks, but with steroids.
Yeah, with a lot of steroid.
Mm.
Because Task GPT, really the original feature where you could just set your prompt and run was Task GPT on steroid. Because that was, yeah, the idea, but ChatGPT didn't have access to any tools for doing anything, so it was kind of limited. But now this thing can deep search, can write entries, can do things, so it's already like on steroids. But the ability to use webhooks and connect it to, like right now I'm connected to a Notion database, but it could be like if I was someone that liked automation, I could connect this into Make and source any kind of information from anywhere and use this as a way to basically modify my Notion workspace. So that can be like, I think that's a powerful features that can be used for so much things. So let's just see if it works. The new webhooks feature is out, so just put it there, and then I'm just going to put it in published, and this should trigger the webhook. And let's see if I receive some message on Telegram to confirm me within a minute or two that it has created my blog post. And while it does this, let me show you another cool thing. Is like I have this social media post database. Again, I've put like a bunch of instructions here. And oh, there you go. Announcing Notice webhook automate anything into. So it created the post. It wrote the caption, put it in my inbox, and scheduled it for today. Like this is the time. And the cool thing is, so this is already very impressive. But the cool thing is, I'm using Notion Social. So basically, it's a third-party application that I really love, that lets me schedule anything on my social networks directly from Notion. So I just created an account there. I connected my post database with Notion Social, and then I connected all my accounts. You can see I have 9 social media accounts, so YouTube, Thread, TikTok, and so on. And basically, I never open Notion Social. I just do everything here into my Notion database. And what do we see? Let's go back to my content calendar. Show me my calendar. Yeah. So if I open this, so this is my calendar. This is my inbox, and you can see here that I have this post that was created automatically for me. And because it's marked as down, Notion Social tell me like okay, every setup, this post is gonna be. And if we just wait for a moment, this is gonna refresh, and it's gonna post just an image like this. And if I wanted to push the things even further, I could just do something even cooler. I don't think it needs to be cooler right now. It's already quite cool, but I can do something like this. I can edit my webhook and just say, make sure to create a cartoon to illustrate the new blog post. Okay, so you can just write this, and to simulate this, or just going to edit this, the one that is just created. Can you create a cartoon? And basically, again, like what it does is just it's gonna edit this post, and it's gonna add the media caption using ChatGPT image generation and put it there. So like right there, I just automated like pretty much a bunch of my social media management. Let's see if it does it. Like might take like a second, like might take a minute or two. Like the image generation model takes a bit of time. But what do you guys
I
think?
think that's pretty epic. And I'm
Yes.
curious. I want how do you get into the Notice portal? So to do the automation.
Yeah. So there are a few different ways. Like the first one is just on Telegram. You just click portal here on the command, and it'll just generate you the link, and then you just open the link and you're connected. And on WhatsApp, you just ask the link to your portal, and it'll take a minute or 30 seconds and send you the link to your portal. And here you have your sync database. That's where you add the database that you want to sync, and you can make sure that the instructions are correct. You can activate and deactivate the database you don't want to use. You can manually sync, and you can manage if you need to add other pages in your Notion workspace. You can just go there. You can see all your pages. And if I want to add this, for example, to Notice, I can just like select it and sync it. And then didn't like me going back. And then here are all your automations. So you have like webhooks automations or normal automations. Those are your reminders. It's a bit like automations, but instead of running a prompt, they just send you something on WhatsApp, Telegram, or email. So you just set a message basically, and then you can set them recurring or one time. And the cool thing, automation and reminders, you can ask Notice to create them, list them, delete them. You can do all of this. So often, for example, I'd ask Notice to create a task, and he knows that a task is actually an entry in my Notion database, but also to set up a reminder when that task is due. So I receive a message on my phone when my task is due. And then you get your usage. That is very important. That's basically how much each request costs you. And you have like $20 allowance per month if you're on a $20 plan, charge at the same price that we pay it, so the API price. And you can see like the details, how much, what cost you for each request. So the portal is quite important for this purpose as well. And another trick is here you get like your account settings, so you can easily change your email and things like this. Your email needs to be the email you use for sending emails to Notice, otherwise it's not recognized. And you can also add now, it's something we launched last week, like a custom prompt. If you need something changed for every agents, every database, instead of putting that information in every database of Notice, you can just put your custom prompt. If you want your Notice to call you Chief, you can just say call me Chief, and that is gonna work everywhere. That's or your preferred language. If the custom build function doesn't work for you, you can modify it this way.
Cool. Okay. Nice.
All right, guys. This is let me show you the result of what we were doing here. So it's just like edited the post and added this cartoon. Automate anything in Notion, new webhook. That's pretty cool, right? And now I'm just going to mark it as done. And because it's scheduled to be in the past, within like 5 minutes, Notion Social is going to post this on every media that are compatible with an image. I'm going to add, I like it, so I'm going to add as well, like my own Twitter as well. And yeah, I'm going to post it everywhere. There you go. So yeah, instead of spending 30 minutes like posting this everywhere, like it's just gonna do
You
it
just
for me.
literally did it as you're talking to us.
Yeah, exactly. Just managing my social media while I'm talking to you, creating a live stream. And yeah, no, this is really I'm really excited because this starts to come together. And as like as the different ways you can use it. And it falls into different category of its own. It's not just an agent, it's also an automation platform. So you can do both those, this one time thing that you're going to ask Notice once in your life. Like, I don't know, hey, here's an article for the New York Times, turn it into an audio podcast for me. You might just do this once, and that's cool. And then use it for your task, and every day it's different. And then those recurring workflows where you really fall into the world of automations, but it's also new kind of automations, because it's not, you're basically setting prompts that are triggered by certain events. So it's quite fast to put in place. It might not be, I think, as reliable as like an N8N workflows with fixed fields and everything. You might have, more, difference in every time the AI use this workflow. But also, as the AI becomes better, I think this is going to be like the way that people want to automate things. So within the next 6 months, those models are going to be so good at following your instructions that you're not going to want to spend 4 hours setting something on N when you can just explain it with a prompt and just run this prompt over and over again.
Yeah, cool. I have one final question, and that's more because I use WhatsApp, and I've been chatting with Notice on WhatsApp. And as we were chatting, I was asking for the portal, and I also asked to put Notion Social in the social media area, and it's all worked. What I do notice is it does take quite a long time for it to respond. So it did take about 4 minutes to 5 minutes to actually respond, as opposed to maybe like half a minute or a couple of seconds. So it's just, is there a difference between WhatsApp and Telegram on that, or?
Not anymore. It used to be. We had turbo mode on Telegram that was not available on WhatsApp, but it was basically us updating our infrastructure and testing it on Telegram first. But now it's the same for everyone. It's just that what you have to keep in mind is like basically every request that you send to Notice takes a very variable times depending on what are the tasks that are done. So basically every request that you send, there's first like a triage engine that's basically the brain of Notice and decide which agents has to work for this task. And there's right now 5 or 6 different agents. So one, for example, for creating documents, one for finding context, one for creating those reminders and automations, another one for creating your new database and editing your Notion workspace. So it's like 5 or 6 of them. And so the triage engine will decide which one needs to run, and then they will run into the sequence that has been created by the triage engine. And each one of those agents has access to a bunch of functions, tools that it can use. So for example, the one that can observe into Notion has one function for every database that you've set. The context manager can search your Notion database, query your Notion database, search the web, do deep search, and so on. So, for example, here you talked about Notion Social. Maybe it decided that it didn't know what Notion Social was in its prompt. So it queried the context manager so it could look into the web, or in best case, or